Thank you very much. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Dejan Papic, and I work for Bentley Systems. Today I'll be talking about the article I've written, the Digital Built Environment Maturity Model, Digital Twins Advancing Smart Infrastructure Asset Management. I've written this article together with Professor Dr. Tomo Cerovsek of University of Ljubljana. Unfortunately, he's not able to join us today. Does this work?
I'm afraid it doesn't work. So okay. The other presenters used the laptop.
Sure. Okay. Yeah, I thought I'm going to introduce myself, so I prepared a slide, but you already started. Sorry? No, it's good. Thank you. So for the last 6 years, I've been with Bentley, most of those with the Digital Advancement Academies. Let me just clarify, the academies are not about software training, but about advancing latest practices within the industry and within our partner organizations, about promoting collaboration and aligning supply chains and the industry. And in this capacity, I've been involved with a number of major projects and owner-operators, such as the Crosssell and Maha Metro projects, New York MTA, the RTA in Dubai, etc. I'm leading this year our efforts with strategic partners on the academy side, Siemens, Microsoft, and Topcon, and I'm also working on a PhD under the guidance of Professor Dr. Tomo Cerovsek. A couple of words about Bentley, if someone doesn't know us. So we are a global leader providing solutions, software, and services to organizations designing, building, and operating the world's infrastructure. Our mission is very much about advancing and improving the quality of life of the citizens. And we are also heavily involved in research with many of the top universities and other such organizations globally. So in our capacity through the academies, we've noticed a changing of mindsets of organizations and also professionals who go through the academies. So they're not thinking anymore so much about, is digitalization really for me? And I'm talking here about on the organizational level, not on smaller implementation levels. So they're changing their mindsets from this one to how to digitalize our organization as a whole. You know, what is the best way to do it? We've done it a couple of ways on smaller scale, but the successes were really not what we were looking. Those successes were not what we were looking for. So how do we do it better? And we always tell them to start with 3 things, and I'll list those in the next few slides. First, I guess a question, so which is the most expensive part of an asset's life cycle? And the answer would be operations, of course. Thank you. But is this really the right question to ask? In my opinion, not, because it just continues with that siloed mentality. Just this time, instead of focusing on design, we start focusing on O&M more. And let me state that I don't think focusing on O&M is the wrong way to go. Certainly is. It's not been focused enough over the last few decades, so we should do it more. But we should do it as part of the whole assets life cycle. That's the first thing we tell them to do. Focus on the assets life cycle. Even if you're a design company, digitalization enables you to build new business models that are going to enable you to serve the assets life cycle across its stages, not just in the beginning. This can only be done, of course, if there's collaboration between the different stakeholders and alignment. Of course, alignment between the physical and digital assets, but of course, also between different organizations, within the industries, etc. So this is our second point, alignment. Third point, so asset management. Asset management is not really about managing assets. It's about creating value from those assets. ISO 55000 states this clearly. And we create that value by taking informed decisions. And we can only take those decisions if we have the right, trusted, and true information available to us when we need it. So our third point is always start with the outcomes, outcomes-based thinking. And this is really the 3 points that have influenced the research that we are doing here. So when we are building or managing our assets today, we really don't want to go into the field every time we need to make a decision to get some information. We don't want to dig between the piles of documents that we have or through different databases. So that's why we are stating that today the norm should be, if we are building or managing a physical asset, we really need to be building a digital counterpart of that asset. So for each physical asset, we should have a digital counterpart. The B on the right-hand side, by the way, stands for built environment. So we are very much moving towards that one-by-one production of assets. We won't be managing assets as groupings anymore. We'll be managing each asset on its own, but of course as part of a larger network. So digital twins, this is not a new concept. As probably many of you know, this has been around for a while. NASA has used them extensively and successfully. Nowadays, the latest thinking is that there's really 5 parts to digital twins. So the physical asset, the connections between the physical and digital, the data model structures for the digital part, the dynamic and static data about the asset, and of course the services that pull data from the digital twin and achieve our outcomes. This is a representation, an example from Crosssell. As you can see, it only includes engineering information, but the point is we need to collect the information about the assets and sufficiently integrate it so we can make, so we have it available and we can make informed decisions when we need to. I mentioned this is the current mindset of many organizations. So this is our current digital capability and this is our desired digital capability. How do we go between the two? I guess this is the $1 million question at the moment. Really hard to answer, I guess. Different organizations have tackled this in different ways in other industries. A lot of them have created different capability maturity models. So the Software Engineering Institute created the first capability maturity model for the US Air Force. The reason was US Air Force had a lot of software projects undergoing, but they were, let's say, not as successful as they would want them. That's probably a major understatement. Anyway, they wanted to rate their suppliers and make sure that they only choose the best ones or the ones that are compliant with the level that they require them to be. For the people in this room, probably the most well-known maturity model is the UK BIM maturity levels, so-called cheese wedge. There are a number of others made up of different components. Some of them use some of them, others all of them. But the maturity model we've decided to build was this one. We decided to go for a 3D maturity model, which is kind of different to most of the others that exist, which are 2D. The reason was we wanted to go into a much deeper, much bigger level of granularity, and we felt if we go through a 2D matrix, it would become too confusing and too complex, or we wouldn't be able to actually build the model that we are trying to do and achieve our vision. So the 3 dimensions on the y-axis, you can see the areas of digital capability. So data management, including acquisition of data, data analysis, and decision making. On the x-axis, we've got the supporting organizational environment, so the well-known trinity of people, process, and technology. And on the z-axis, we have the various stages of maturity. Now, when it comes to standards and various models, when talking to different organizations, I'm always concerned whether they use them as a goal or as a baseline. Too many organizations implement something, a standard or a model, and then don't move forward, don't improve at all, which in my opinion is the wrong way to go. Standards, models should be built as a baseline. They should be implemented, and once they're implemented, the improvements need to continue. This is the way we wanted to build our model really. We kind of borrowed, let's say, the idea behind the Toyota kata, the philosophy of that. So kata actually means keeping, one of the meanings is keeping two things in harmony, in sync, and this is what we wanted to do with our digital twin. And this is not so much about keeping the physical and digital in sync, it's more about keeping the physical and digital in sync with the organizational requirements and the outcomes the organization is looking for. So the process through which we advance through the model is what we call a digital twin kata. So the 5 levels that we have here defined are, stages. The stage 1 is ad hoc dataset, stage 2 digital twin formation, 3 digital twin standard operations, stage 4 digital twin real-time automation, and stage 5 digital twin intelligence contextualization. The most important probably of this all is stage 2 digital twin formation. This is really when the organization defines, actually writes down their organizational goals and outcomes that digitalization is supposed to support. Based on those, they define the information requirements, various processes, workflows get mapped, inputs, outputs, roles and responsibilities, standards, etc., everything that they need to follow. Based off of that, organizations start implementing various digital capabilities of higher levels. And if they want to go, let's say, between levels 3 and stages 3 and 4, so standard digital twin standard operation and real-time automation, they first need to go back to stage 2, so they evaluate whether the digital capabilities of level 4 are in line with their organizational goals and the outcomes they are looking for. So at level 3, they introduce their digital twin into the regular operations. This is not real time yet. The updates happen at predefined points in time, various intervals, or are event driven. If we go a stage higher, we introduce the elements of the IoT in, so we can start making real-time decisions, but also, let's say, simple levels of automations, so automated decisions. And at level 5, we are very much looking to introduce the artificial intelligence. So this is the model that we currently have. We're looking to build 2 future levels of granularity. We're at the moment working on the second one, beginning stages. Yes.